Welcome to the Snackdown, because it sounds like Smackdown, but it's sponsored by Walkers, who make snacks. Do you see? We'll be looking at a few things from the last month, things we've seen on the internet, and I've got some guests here with me, so let me introduce them. First of all, over here on my right, I'm a big fan of stand-up, so I asked one of the funniest young stand-ups in the country to join me in the Snackdown studio. Unfortunately, he wasn't available. Hey! So I'm joined by Adam Hess.
Hello.
That's a sort of classically bad compare introduction, isn't it?
It was good. I feel happy about it.
Welcome, Adam. You are a very funny man. I've seen you live. No pressure. I'm also joined by one of the country's finest and funniest users of the social media platform Vine. This lady was one of the first to really break through on Vine, so we can call her a Vineer. She's not scary. She's not Viney Jones. I'll stop now because I'm sounding a bit like Alan Partridge.
Wow.
So about putting the Vine into divine. See, that's my last one, I promise. It's Jane Sharp. Hello, Jane.
I'll take that. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Vine's a big thing in your life, isn't it?
Well, yeah, for 6 seconds at a time.
For 6 seconds. How are you feeling confident about going for longer than 6 seconds?
Well, as long as you don't mind me repeating myself over and over and over again, that's fine.
That's fine. It fills the time. And also with me is one of the country's finest comedy actors and writers. You'll know her from Toast, Friday Night Dinner, Big Train. She's also the person who killed Dirty Den. Well, her character did. He's not real. Tracy Ann Oberman.
Hello, David.
Okay, well, welcome to my three guests. And it's been quite a month since our last podcast, or Vodcast, if you're watching on the YouTube. All this talk about who you're going to vote for, are you going to vote? It's neck and neck, who you're going to back. But then the final of The Voice was over, and we could get on with the campaign. I thank you. We also had the eclipse, which saw the whole of the country plunged into the same cloud as normal. Apparently the moon at the time of the eclipse was what's known as a supermoon, which is like a Clark Kent moon without the glasses. I gave that a little sort of the joke pattern, just in case it wasn't clear that it was I dropped my voice at the end just to make sure that it felt like a joke. Here are some other things that caught our eye this month on the information superhighway, and we're going to share them with you in our section that we call Inside the Packet. So we start with a great post from Humans of New York. Now, I don't know if you know Humans of New York, but it's a Facebook, Instagram site. It's also a book now. And it's this guy who goes and takes photos of people in New York, and then he adds a quote that gives you an insight into their lives. The one that really went viral this month that caught my eye was one about a lady who was called Beyonce. And she's a very shy woman, but everyone, obviously, as soon as they hear her name, sings Single Ladies and what have you. But the great thing about it was then all the replies that post got. So there was a woman called Julia Roberts who said, I understand this completely. And then underneath her, someone called Jennifer Lopez said, yes, I can relate to this. Rachel Green, I'm always being asked where my Ross is. There's another one called Shakira Lamb, who's always being asked if her hips lie or not. And it just went on and just made me realise that, well, first of all, there's a rule, isn't there? Never make a joke about someone's name. That is, I feel, a rule.
Because, I mean, there's no way you're going to be the first one to make it unless you get the joke so wrong that you look like you're doing it on purpose or something like that. Like, if I met Beyonce as a joke, I'd say, oh, do your hips lie? And then she'll remember you. Want to be your friend or something. I know a guy that was called Jim Hall at uni. And
why would you do that as a parent?
I'm talking about him now. No, he's on the internet. They had foresight as parents. They saw the information.
Why would you not do it?
I've got a friend who called their daughter Alice in Wonderland. Seriously,
What, their surname was Wonderland? That's already strange.
No, it was Salmon, but they did. But they put it. They got rid of that. They just called it Alice in middle name, Wonderland brackets surname. So
I don't understand.
On her passport.
So on her passport
she's now Alice in Wonderland.
Wow.
See, I'm quite jealous of that.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think it makes you special?
Yeah, I do. Well, there was a girl at our school called Emma, and her mum was called Bev, and this sounds like a complete lie, but their surname was Ridge. Beveridge and Emmeridge. Emmeridge. I don't
Emmeridge.
think... Yeah, Emmeridge.
I met a guy when I was a student, and again, it was quite a dull guy, but he was called Tom Jones.
Oh, very good.
And that was a real moment of... I mustn't. I'd already decided I will never make a joke about someone's name to them. But I felt that was the closest I feel I've got to the pain of childbirth, trying not to make a joke. And I went up to him and I said, eventually I said, people must make a joke about your name all the time. And to his credit, he said, it's not unusual.
I swear, like, parents now must be intentionally spelling their kids' names wrong. I think the only thing that precedes, like, the letter A in, like, alphabetical stuff and those sorts of things is an exclamation mark.
Yeah.
So people will just start by, John is my name.
My other theory about names is that you can tell when someone says the name of a teacher, one of their teachers, they imbue it with such nostalgia that if you ask people to say 3 names, only one of which was their teacher's name, you would be able to tell which is their teacher.
That's really
So I'm going to
good.
try that. I'm going to read out 3 names now. Only one of them is the name of my teacher. I'm going to try and be as neutral as possible. I want you to tell me which one was my teacher. Mr. Challenger, Mr. Lorque, Mr. Collins.
Mr. Lorque.
Mr. Lorque, I go.
Mr. Collins.
There was 2-1 Mr. Lorque.
Yay.
Now, is that because it's a slightly weird name?
You didn't like him, did you?
How did you know?
Because it was a Mr. Lorque.
I
was a
tried to be
little
so
You-
neutral.
Your fist clenched and
Yeah.
blood started just coming out of your hand there.
We had an unfortunate one called Mrs. Winterbank.
Suddenly we're
She
all at
got
school.
away with it for a long time. Yeah, we never took the mickey at school.
I had a teacher called Mrs. Goat. But the thing is, goat is a funny word.
Yeah.
But seeing as that was actually her name, she didn't get offended when you said goat to her. But I once called her Mrs. Boat. I thought that was funny, and she made me stand in the bin.
Stand in the bin.
Stand in the bin. Yeah.
Oh, you must be so cute in the bin.
It was a massive. It was a
Look at
dumb
the face
thing.
on him now.
Look at
That was
his little-
disgusting.
Look at his
I was
little
in
stand in
no.
the bin face.
It was at sixth form college.
Yeah.
That's names done. Check. The other great find of the month for me is an Instagram and Facebook account called Passenger Shaming. That's where people post pictures of awful things that people have done on planes. So most of them I had a look at it, most of them seem to be people's bare feet from the seats behind, right next to your face, because they're trying to stretch out and sleep. As you've taken, so there are lots of selfies, or I don't know, smellfies, or get over your selfies of a person suffering with this. But there's all sorts of. There's a guy who refuses to put his shirt back on, so there's a topless guy. There was one steward, brilliantly, a steward or stewardess, who found a plastic bag of urine under a seat. A little bit of wee in a plastic bag under. I mean, it's hard to get travel pillows. Now, but,
At least they put it in a bag.
Yes.
I've been on trains where it's just swashing around.
I hope it's not over 100 millilitres, because that's the only.
Not allowed,
That's allowed. Yeah. There's a picture. Now, this I want to put to the panel here. There's a picture of a guy clipping his fingernails.
Oh no, I'd be sick.
Would you?
I would be sick.
Right. Okay.
I don't like seeing people filing their nails.
Okay.
I'm just thinking all that dust from them.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I can't
you're
even.
Okay, because I was going to say that's borderline acceptable for me.
Really?
Yeah, as long as the clippings, the filings are not going to fly up. So do it in a sort of protective
you're
box.
saying
We
as
can
long
never
as
travel together.
No.
You're saying as long as if there was any science to where they go. I mean, like if I wouldn't mind someone doing it, but if they were doing it opposite me, I just know if at any point I yawn, they would just all
Well,
go in my
I'm
throat.
imagining. Well, initially I was imagining that there'd be a Tupperware box you would place your hand in, or maybe like a little MRI tube.
If I saw
you
someone,
did it in
if I
that.
saw someone clipping their nails into a Tupperware box, I would get sick
Yes.
of the police.
Yeah. No.
I think
okay.
I'd be more offended by that actually.
Yeah. You're
No,
true.
that's
Yeah.
disgusting.
No,
Okay.
No, that is odd.
I'm glad I brought it up in a public
Yeah.
forum then.
At the weekend, I got on the train, and it was quite an empty train back to my house, and I got myself a burger. And I normally wouldn't eat on the tube, but I was so hungry. And 2 women got on and sat next to me, and I actually stood up and I went over to them and said, "I hope you don't mind, but I'm really hungry. Do you mind if I eat my burger?" And they were fine, but I felt like I had to go and speak to them. I actually did that. I actually went.
You see, if I was the Prime Minister, I would actually have a law that anybody that brings chips.
How old are we if I
oranges-
was the Prime Minister?
I don't
Have a look. What is it, were you 11?
If I was the Prime Minister, I'd have a law that people who open burgers, chips, or oranges on enclosed
Oranges?
passages, yes.
If I'd have come over to you and really politely
said
gone,
no.
"I'm really hungry,"
You
please
said
go."
no.
I said no.
And what would you have
I'd
done
have
then?
said go to the toilet.
I'd have sat
and
right next to
I
you, sat on your
The
lap,
toilet.
I'd have munching
Do it
in your
the
face.
toilet. I said I'd rather you clip your toenail. It's the particularly as they've shrunk the pedalinos recently, haven't they? Is it my
I
imagination or
don't
all
know
trains are
what
now
that's-
tiny?
Oh.
When I was younger, trains seemed to be so much
I mean,
No. Let me
the whole
explain.
relative.
That's
I mean, that's a very sweet that you haven't worked out until this stage what's going on there.
No, since university, no, they've shrunk them.
Sure.
Because you can't walk.
Yeah. It's not that you've grown.
We'll have a chat.
No, because the suitcase is. All right, maybe.
What's your point anyway?
They've shrunk doorways and everything.
No,
Everything.
everything. I'm sorry, the corridors, they've been designed wrongly now. They're tiny. Trains are now, but you're in a hermetically sealed, tiny, enclosed space and there's no air that can come in. I think a driver should make you eat in the toilet.
You should eat in the toilet.
You should sit on the toilet and eat it.
Wow.
Why is it so offensive? I don't get why it's so offensive.
Yeah,
Get this.
It smells better than most people's body odour, which is what you normally
Do
get.
you know, it's funny because I am that awful smell fit. I would put my foot up on it. I am a.
So
you know
hold
what?
on.
I know.
So if
It's a
someone
double no,
came
I
on
know.
and sat next to you and ate a bare foot,
That would
that would be
No,
acceptable.
In a weird,
but-
I think it's a really good therapy session. I would rather their bare stinking foot was next to me,
Wow.
weirdly, than a burger. I get the uncomfortableness of like, oh, I've got to put my foot. Something about the burger and the smell of it, and we can't get out, and it's all trapped, and it's there.
It's that people are making choices about what you should eat in a way, what you subliminally. I mean, I live in Islington, so, you know, if anyone brings a takeaway onto a bus there, it's like pulled pork in Normandy apple and balsamic jus. It becomes a gastro bus. So that's sort of all right. I'm going to just move on quickly to, it's the section that we call Flavours of Britain, because it's connected with this whole travel etiquette, but it's a little video that I saw someone posted about this very thing. He was sat in one of those tables, the sort of four-seated tables on the train, and the video starts with him, so he filmed it on his phone, and it starts with the sign saying, keep your feet off chairs, and then he pans to the chair next to him where there are bare feet from the bloke opposite him, and it's fantastically British because he doesn't say anything. But he puts it on the internet. So revenge is a dish best served on the internet now. But you would do that, would you? Would you put your feet?
Do you know, it's maybe, and I sound a bit hot. Yeah.
If you have any grossly bad travel etiquette stories, just send them to us at @walkers_crisps with the hashtag snackatcha. That's like back at you, but with a snack. So it's spelled ATCHA. That's quite complicated to say out loud, isn't it? It looks all right on paper. Hashtag snackatcha. So send us any travel etiquette no-nos that you've experienced or done, and we'll read the good ones out in the next podcast or vodcast if you're watching us on the YouTube. Okay, I'm going to move very swiftly on to another great flavour of Britain story, and this is a heartwarming one.
Okay.
This is lovely. It's about a 3-year-old boy who had a toy line that he loved called Lily, and he went to a stately home and lost the line, and was traumatised, as you would be if it's your favourite toy. And his parents gave him a replacement toy because they knew he loved his toy so much. They gave him a replacement Lily, but he knew it wasn't the same one. Still upset, and then finally they found it at the stately home, and they sent Lily back to him with a photo album of all the things Lily had been doing around the stately home, which isn't that
is really nice. Yeah.
I had a toy that was stolen from me by the powers that be, and I love this thing. So
who are the powers that be? Your parents?
It's still a mystery. My parents insist that they don't know where it went. It was a toy bath that I had. A toy bath. My sister was once given a toy girl, a doll, and I was given a bath for the doll under the assumption we'd share the bath doll combo. But she didn't share the doll, so I thought, well, I'm not sharing my bath. So I'd run around with it on my head playing a game called Tortoises. But that was just one of me. I don't know why I pluralised. Anyway, so I was like, and then I would just like have dinner, like pretending I was a tortoise, a pink tortoise, just like, and I eventually drew. You know how tortoises have like hexagons on the back of them? So I tried to do that hexagon symbol on the thing on the back, but it kind of just looked like a big eye. So I was running around. And I'd go everywhere with it, or to my cousin's house, which is the only place I would ever go. And one day it was just gone.
Which cult were you?
I don't know.
That does explain a lot about your personality. But
As a tortoise man, yes.
So have you
out there
asked?
by getting rid of
Have you
that.
asked as a grown-up now? Have you asked your parents what happened?
Oh, like for about good 10 years, it was like, no, we don't know where it went, darling. No, it must have been thrown out using the passive tense, as if anyone else was just throwing stuff out. It must have been just thrown out somehow.
Do you think they were just really ashamed of their son?
I would sometimes catch myself in the mirror.
That vague.
Is this all right?
There's an anecdote where you just wish you'd been there, and I so wish I'd been there that I'm almost tempted to tell the anecdote as if I were. It was my anecdote. But someone told me that they were in a room with someone, and they were in their 20s, and this young lady was explaining how they had a dog when she was a kid, and it went to the farm. It was quite old, and it went to the farm. She was sad about it, but it had a better time on the farm because it was and she hadn't clicked even into her 20s. And they explained to her, and I just wish I'd been there to see the look on her face.
What you're describing there is like series 1, episode 8 of Friends, where Ross does that.
Is it? Is it that thing where someone's...
And then Ross goes like that. So
it's literally someone has told me an anecdote that is actually an episode of Friends.
That's my whole life. I just go around pretending I'm going.
There's a fantastic national treasure of an actress who told me a great story. Her son's girlfriend was house sitting for a couple in New York who had a very, very old dog. They loved the dog, and she came down one morning and the dog had died. She was very freaked out. She rang him in London and went, "The dog has died. I don't know what to do." And he said, "Don't ring them on holiday. There's a special place that you can go." Looked it up on the internet. He said, "Okay, take the dog to this place. They will refrigerate it, and when they come back, they can deal with the funeral. Just give them the last 2 days of their holiday." She didn't know what to put it in, and she found a big sports bag, and she put the dog in the sports bag, and she's lugging it onto the tube, where a very nice man turns around and says, "Hey, missy, young lady, that looks really heavy. Would you like me to help you?" And she says, "Yes, please." And he helps her carry it. Like, "Wow, this is really heavy. What do you got in there?" And she said, "A computer." At which point he legs it.
No!
Oh!
At what point does he open the bag?
That's amazing.
To see a dead dog in it and think, the pretty English 17...
Wow.
That is...
There's so many levels of that story that I love.
Well, that's all we got time for now, so I'd like to thank my wonderful guests, Adam Hess, Jane Sharp and Tracy Ann Oberman. Thank you so much. Also thanks to James Martin, Robin Flavel, John Brennan and Eri Jackson, which are not names that I've chosen at random. They helped me put this together. And remember, the first rule of Always Leave Them Wanting More Club is... Thank you!